A recent study by Cornell found that the number one indicator for career success is actually your emotional awareness. So let's get in tune with how to make your emotions less scary, how to properly release your emotions, and why it's so common to continually suppress our emotions in this society. Let's get into it. Welcome back, you gorgeous vessel of a human you. Welcome back to Align Your Day. Welcome back to this video if you're on the YouTube or if you're on the podcast. How you doing? So, very important message today. If you're on the YouTube, you see this. I got a new cup, okay? It says manifest that shit. So we are drinking our cold brew out of that cute little cup. I'm obsessed with it. If you're on the podcast, then just feel the vibes. I hope you're drinking something cute. But today we're going to talk about a very important topic. So we're going to talk about how to make your emotions less scary, the keys when it comes to releasing your emotions properly, and a little bit of everything in between. So it's going to be really good. And I just want to get into it because I love emotions. I love talking about emotions. I love releasing my emotions, anger, sadness, joy, really stepping into that, feeling that. I've grown so much in my emotional capacity, and I love being able to hold you and remind you that your emotions are so valid. They are part of a human experience, and I think part of a really, of a human experience that's so full of depth and richness. Because when you allow yourself to sometimes feel that pain, feel that sadness, you can allow yourself to go so much deeper into that joy, into that bliss, because you're not always flatlining. And that's so, so key. And as I start us off, I want to give you a little bit of a nugget based on something that I watched on an Instagram reel last week. It was so good. I posted on my Insta story, but it was basically this woman who had said, she had this client of hers, and he said he never got too excited about anything in his life. He just always kind of had a flatline expectation, didn't want to get too excited because he didn't want to be let down. So as a protective mechanism, he didn't let himself feel deep excitement, feel deep joy when he was excited about something or looking forward to something. And unfortunately, his wife had passed away in a car accident. And as he was driving, I think. And he had specifically said he wished in those moments where he could have leaned deeper into joy, leaned deeper into excitement. He wished he let himself go there, because that protected mechanism did not protect him from the pain, the sadness, the sorrow that came with losing his wife. He spent all those years trying to protect himself from feeling so excited in case he got let down. But that protective mechanism in the end wasn't worth it, because he still felt that deep sadness, obviously, when his wife passed. And he wished he had just felt deeper joy. And I wanted to start off with this because I think it's so common, especially, I think it's becoming a little bit less of a problem nowadays, but it's so common, especially as working women, right? Maybe we're in our corporate jobs, as I know a lot of you are. It's easy to kind of have that focus of, what do I need to get done? How do I need to show up today? How do I need to achieve today? It's do you have time to honor, what are you feeling emotionally? What's within you? Do you have time to honor, can I step deeper into joy today? Can I step deeper into honoring my sadness that is on my heart today? It's hard to have those conversations. It's hard to have those moments throughout your day, right? Because especially in those corporate jobs, sometimes it's difficult to lean into that. And so that leads us to very commonly suppressing our emotions, or kind of keeping us at a flat line, I guess expectation, or just kind of moving through the motions of life versus really being with life, feeling life, being more in your experience in your day-to-day. Your emotions dictate your experience. And so when you just are kind of flatline and kind of going through the motions each day, sure, you might feel pretty okay and it's all right, but do you allow yourself to feel that deep presence, that deep joy, that can come when you lean into your emotions deeper? Or do you allow yourself to kind of process that sadness that you might be holding on to, or that anger? It's so, so key. And so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to start you off with today, just a little question or a little invitation to you when it comes to your emotions and just how important they are. So let's get into it. So the first key I have here, the first kind of question I want to start us off is, why get better at releasing your emotions? What is the benefit of fully processing your emotions? Well, in school, we were not taught, right? Unless you were in a very healthy home environment where your emotions were welcome, where your parents helped and assist you in releasing your emotion, helped and assist you in feeling your joy, helped and assist you when you're feeling that anger and how to let it out properly. Unless you're in an environment where that was very expected, where that was very normal, it was very common not to have that emotional awareness education because we weren't taught it in school. And so if you didn't learn it at home, then you didn't learn it at all, most likely, right? So that's why it's so key to get better at this, because we were not taught this. And the negatives, the side effects, when you don't allow yourself to properly release your emotions, to properly honor what's moving through you. It can lead to lower self-worth, lack of fulfillment. It leads to financial blocks because you are not honoring yourself. And so you're most likely not speaking up for yourself when it comes to how much you need to earn, or, getting money back from friends, or, owning your worth. That translates to your money. So that can lead to some financial blocks if you're not releasing your emotions properly and honoring yourself. It can lead to depression. It can lead to numbing out. Escapism, when you're suppressing. Think about like a little beach ball, right? I give this like metaphor. Think about like a beach ball, right? And each time you're suppressing an emotion, it's like you're pushing that beach ball down, down, down. It's not going to go away. It's going to take a lot more effort and energy on your body's end to continuously suppress it. That's why it can lead to depression, because you're probably feeling low energy, because it takes a lot of energy to continuously have this emotion suppressed within you, right? So that's just like another key to look out for. So anything in between, it can lead to, like I said, escapism via alcohol, via drugs that we're seeing. And it could also, not like honoring and releasing your emotions actually is leading to like a further, how do I put this? It's almost like it pushes you to escape from yourself, right? It's like you're trying to like run from what you're really feeling. So you'll do anything else except feel what you're actually feeling. You'll think of anything else. You'll go do work. You'll go think about someone else. You'll go look on social media. It's like, it's so easy with emotional suppression to continuously escape yourself. And that's why it's so easy to see those, negative consequences in the future of people in relationships that are not really valuable to them because you were not honoring yourself. It's easy to see workaholics who, 20 years down the line, you're like, shit, I don't feel fulfilled in what I'm doing, because you're just kind of going through the motions, or anything in between, right? So that's why it's so important to build this muscle of emotional awareness and emotional processing. Because as I mentioned in the statistic earlier on in the video, right? It's like when you build that acknowledgement of, how am I feeling? What do I need to process today? How can I lean deeper in my joy today? Am I feeling sad? How can I let myself just feel it a few more minutes, deeply today? When you allow yourself to do that, you're becoming your own self-advocate, right? You're becoming your own self-advocate. And I think that is why there's such a high correlation between this emotional awareness and success in career. Because when you become your own self-advocate, you know what you are expecting in your worth when it comes to your job. You're not afraid to ask for maybe more pay, more raise. You're not afraid to ask for, I'm not really fulfilled in this section of my company. Are there any other opportunities, right? Like, you become your own self-advocate, and that is so key when you are, creating a career of your dreams, when you're being the queen of your career, right? It's so important to be that self-advocate. If you're just letting your career happen to you, people put you in any projects that come available, people put you, in the lowest hanging fruit, and you're not stepping up for yourself, you're not really saying, this is working for me or this isn't working for me. I think that's why it can lead to, that career success, is because emotional awareness requires self-advocacy. It requires you to check in with yourself. It requires you to honor yourself. And that's why, building this muscle, I think, is so key. And that's why it can lead to that success, because you're becoming that self-advocate. So that's why it's so important to, like I said, get better at releasing that emotion. And the second thing I want to talk about is, so why is it so common to see us suppress emotions nowadays, right? Just like a general question, like, why is it so common? And something that I think we don't maybe realize, or maybe didn't think of, was, think about when you were younger, right? I know a lot of us grew up in very ethnic environments, or maybe very more like family-centered environments. And in those ethnic environments, it's typically not like, you don't sit around and talk about your feelings all day. It's like, let's get to work. How are you doing in school? Like, what's going on? It's like, that was where the focus lied. And so obviously it was very common maybe not to have that more open dialogue about how are you feeling today, sweetie? You know, what do you need? Do you need to help releasing anything? How are you, you know, are you feeling sadness? Are you feeling this, right? It was very much probably more on that like achievement end focused, because that's what their parents were made to grow up, or maybe they were immigrants and they needed to like pave their way in America. So that's like so expected and normal, right? But it's so important to understand that when you had those moments as a kid of maybe you heard shake it off, or, you know, big girls don't cry, or boys don't cry, or anything in between of like those matters. I think I wrote, I don't know if anything else I wrote. Oh yeah, be a good boy or girl, don't cry, right? It's like that correlates in our brain that crying, that releasing our emotions is not safe, is not, you know, is not, I guess a characteristic of a quote unquote good girl or good boy. And of course, you know, you wanted to be that good girl, you wanted to be that good boy. And so if you were told that, you know, crying or releasing your emotion wasn't part of that, then of course your body, your nervous system is going to build this muscle of suppressing your emotions as you grow up, and leading to that, you know, leading to that kind of like lack of self-awareness muscle when you're grown, because that wasn't safe when you were a kid. It wasn't safe to really honor yourself, really honor your emotions, right? So that's so key. And another reason why it's common to suppress emotion is because a lot of people are afraid that if they let themselves feel their emotions, whether sadness, anger, excitement, joy, they feel like they're going to get lost in the emotion and they might go quote unquote crazy. So let's say you feel like you have a lot of sadness on your heart, or you feel like you have all this anger towards this one person. If you let yourself actually release it, it's like you're going to go ballistic and go crazy and like never get out of it. It's so common to feel this way. And I even heard family members say like, oh my God, if I have that one day where I like just finally let it all out, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I've literally had family members say this to me. So I know just from learning this in my coaching certification, and also just hearing it in my day to day, it's like people definitely have this fear of getting lost in their emotions, of feeling like, oh my God, if I let myself feel this, like I might lose control. I might like not know how to get out of this emotion, and it's scary, right? So that's why it's so important, you know, as a twofold, it's so important to have those spaces where you are able to release your emotions in a non-judgmental space. It can be with a therapist, it can be with a coach, with me, it can be, you know, slowly building that muscle within yourself. But I think it's so important to do this. If you feel like you're not good at allowing yourself to feel emotions, it's so good to have that second hand, so good to have that person who knows how to process it with you, who knows how to be that non-judgmental space with you as you're going through your emotion. And that's something that I do offer my clients. And if you're, something I wanted to put in here, if you did want just a 1 hour, like, Jen, I have this like emotion that I know I need to process, but it's feeling really scary for me to go into. If you want, I am offering 1 hour emotional release sessions. So I can take you through a little exercise and kind of hold space for you for an hour for you to really feel what it feels like to allow yourself to release your emotion in a safe way. And I'll kind of guide you through different exercises you can do once you're on your own to kind of feel like you're not going to go crazy or lose yourself when it comes to processing your emotion, right? And obviously there's so many scales that comes with this. So you can just kind of tell me where you're at and I can let you know if I can best support you. But it's so important to have that secondhand, that practitioner who's going to hold that space for you if this is like a fear you have, like getting lost in your emotion and not being able to get out of it. So that's why it's so common to see that suppressed emotion, because first of all, it wasn't allowed in the family and the environment. It wasn't expected. You know, it was told that big girls don't cry. Hello, Fergie. Am I right? She was like, big girls don't cry. And I'm like, girl, oh God, this is causing a lot of problems these days. But anyways, we know it's a good song. So, you know, that's another reason. Another reason is, like I said, people are afraid that they're going to go crazy or like get lost in emotion. And that's just because we're not taught how to properly release the emotion in a safe way. And that leads me to my next point, right? What is emotion? What are emotions? Emotions can be categorized in a simple phrase of 3 words. Emotions are energy in motion. So it's energy in your body that think about like a wave, okay? It's energy in your body that needs to flow through you and then flow out, okay? So that's why you might have some of those highs where it's like you have that deep cry session and then you slowly come back to ease. Think about it when you see a baby, right? As babies, we actually naturally go through this process, but like I said, through growing up, through our family environments, we may be forced to like suppress this process and told not to cry, and that's why it kind of gets like hijacked. But as little babies, we actually go through this process very naturally through our temper tantrums. Like think about a baby having a temper tantrum. They go ballistic for a little bit, right? They're letting that energy out, they're letting that energy flow, and then they go or something like that, right? Like they kind of like, that's them naturally easing themselves back into a state of homeostasis. So their bodies, your body as you're just born, knows how to go through this process of release. It's just like I said, as we're growing up, it gets hijacked. That's why it's so important to kind of think about it like an energy, right? How can I let this energy as a wave flow through me and come back to more ease? And like I said, I give like different exercises with my clients. So if you want like deeper exercises to go into it, just let me know. But I want you to think about how can you be the observer as you're releasing this emotion, knowing that the emotion is not you, it's just an energy in motion, a wave that's gonna move through you. It's like a little wave that's gonna move through you, right? And that's just like one little shift you can start to make of, okay, this wave of sadness, it's gonna start to move through me, and you kind of separate yourself a little bit from it, right? So that's one key. And the second key you can ask yourself, just to kind of have that like deeper separation, if you feel like you're worried about getting lost in the emotion or whatever, is to ask yourself, where are you feeling this emotion in your body? Where are you feeling this sadness? If this sadness had a placement in your heart, if this sadness had a placement in your body, where is it feeling most active? And that'll get you to tune in, to have like a little body scan to tune in, to see where you're feeling this, and just sit with it a couple seconds and see, okay, I see you, sadness. I see you. I feel you. I see you. And you could have a little conversation with that part of you that's feeling that emotion. That helps create that deeper separation, but also allows you to acknowledge that feeling, which is so, so key, right? So that's like something you can start to do by yourself on a simple basis to create that deeper release and separation. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and that brings me to my next point. So when it comes to emotional release, it's very important that you're not recycling the emotion. You're not like halfway letting yourself feel it, but then going back into it. It's like in those moments when you're crying, like look, think about those moments when you're crying, but you keep telling yourself, stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. That's actually encouraging you to recycle emotion, and that emotion's not actually properly processing through your body. So what's really key for proper emotional release, so you can get that release where you cry, you let it out, and you actually feel good after, you don't feel like super drained or feel like even more sad. The key is to welcome in compassion. As much as you can, welcome in compassion as you are releasing or expressing this emotion. Okay, that is so, so key. That's why I told you to start with that little exercise of, okay, sadness, I see you, I feel you, what do you need? Something like that. That creates a compassionate front with your emotion, and that compassion opens up the floodgates for that emotion to properly release, okay? Judgment, self-judgment is what keeps you stuck in old emotions, stuck in old cycles, and keeps you feeling like low energy, even if you feel like, but I had a good cry session, Jenna, like I feel like I let it out. But if you're still feeling like that denseness within you afterwards, or still feeling super low, it's most likely because you're not allowing full compassion as you release this emotion. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you feel like it's too hard for you to have that compassion, because maybe as a kid, like I said, you might be having like that voice of your mom in your head or your dad saying like, stop crying, this is dumb. Like, why are you crying about this? This is stupid. Be a good girl, don't cry, or don't be upset about this. If you feel like that keeps coming up for you as you're trying to like let yourself feel a little bit, then I would say it's definitely worth, maybe scheduling a chat with me, see if I can support you in that, getting other support, because it's so important you have that compassion to allow yourself to have a really deep and soothing and also properly releasing experience when it comes to your emotions. So just something I wanted to remind you of there. And yeah, so that is that. And so, like I said, so important to get better at releasing your emotions. This is why it's so common to see suppressed emotions. And I wanted to give you that little strategy you can start to do to build that compassion. And one other thing I wanted to talk about with you before I let you go, I'm gonna have a little sip of this cold brew first. Oh my gosh, so good. Cinnamon in your coffee changes the game. I'm just gonna say it. So good. Okay, let's get back into it. So I wanted to also tell you a simple, or I guess not a simple, but a forgotten like emotional bypass strategy. So this is very common. You might see this, you might even do this yourself. I do this too sometimes, and I'm trying to build better at it, but I like catch myself at it. But what's really key is people don't know that a very like common way to bypass your emotions and to not actually feel your emotions is to overthink. It's to stay in your head and it's to continuously think about something. So think about those moments when maybe you're trying to, something seems like a really big issue in your life or something's really stressing you out. You're like thinking about it, you're like, okay, I could do it this way, or I could do it this way, or I could do it this way. Or maybe you like, you did something that you're not proud of, or maybe you're like, you're embarrassed about. And so you keep thinking about it like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done this, or I could have gone this way, or maybe I could have done this, or anything in between. A really common emotional bypass strategy is overthinking, because when you're thinking, you're staying in your mental body, you're staying in your mind, and the emotions, like I said, are energy and motion in your body. So that when you're just staying in your mind, think about it like you're trying to, like, think about it like that beach ball thing, right? That beach ball metaphor again. When you're continuously overthinking, it's like you're staying in your mind and you're continuously pushing that emotion down with that, that basketball or whatever, that beach ball down. You're continuously pushing that down, right, as you're thinking. Instead of just allowing yourself to be like, okay, that happened. How do I feel about it? Do I feel like I need to let anything out from it? Do I feel like, what is happening in my body? You want to shift your focus to your body. Any body cues you're getting. Does your heart feel heavy? Are you feeling a little bit of butterflies in your like stomach that you need to just let out a little bit, right? And I go deeper into my sessions, but I want to give you something to start with. Bring your awareness, bring your focus to your body, okay? If you feel like you're getting into those overthinking spirals, and like I said, that's a very common bypass strategy. So instead of bypassing the emotion, instead of keeping it suppressed, you want to start to build the muscle of, okay, what am I feeling right now? What does my body need? Am I feeling jittery anywhere? Am I just feeling heavy somewhere in my body? What's present for me? You want to shift the focus below your neck and see what's going on, okay? So key to build that awareness of the rest of your body. It's so easy for so many of us to live in our heads, to live in our minds. And it's so key to have that deeper experience, to have that deeper joy in your life. You want to be able to get in touch more with your body, your body's cues, your body's signals. So bring the focus below the neck. You could do a simple body scan. There's free body scans on YouTube. I have one in one of my other episodes that I'll link below. You want to start doing those body scans when you find yourself in that overthinking. And so you're not bypassing anything and you're just fully allowing yourself to, have a couple minutes just to experience what you're feeling and what's coming through you based on an event you had, maybe at work or whatever else. Really, really key. Was I going to say anything else? Yeah, I think that is that. So that's something I wanted to end off with. And if you wanted a little bit of like a guide for, how can I start to get more in touch with my body, with these cues? I have a simple free 5-day guide, and it starts off with that very important foundation for how to build that muscle of getting to know your body, your cues, and thus allowing yourself to have that better emotional awareness, which leads to greater success, being your self-advocate, and all the good things. So if you want that free guide, I'll go ahead and link it down below. So be sure to get it. And like I said, if you're interested in that 1 hour session of like emotional release, DM me on Instagram or just look at the link below on the YouTube and you could just sign up for it. And I'm trying to think about anything else. I think that's it. So I hope this was helpful. Okay, you are doing so well. I know this emotion stuff can feel really scary, but when you break it down into how can I get better in touch with my body's cues? How can I welcome in more compassion? How can I remember I am the observer and this emotion is just a wave that needs to move through me, right? All those things are so key to building that deeper emotional awareness muscle and to really allowing yourself to honor what's present for you and not to have years go by down the road where you realize you have all this suppressed emotion, you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, you're realizing, oh my God, I feel like I'm just going through the motions of life and life isn't bringing me that zest I want. It's so key to start to build this now. Right when you see this is a great place to start. So I'll talk to you so soon. If you have any other questions on this, I can make more videos. I love talking about emotions and emotional release, but I'll talk to you soon, babe.